Hey y'all, what's going on? I'm Crash Let's Go. And I see Bezzy. Bezzy says, I love the pic of the crazy goat in the straight jacket. Yeah, I made that a few years ago. What's up, infamous Jixer? What's going on, man? How are you doing? How is everybody doing this evening? I hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing okay. Can't really complain. Can't really complain. Um, I was not live last night because I had to edit the video so I could re-release it today. And at what time was it? At 12 noon, I re-released the video with the dog on the country ride, and I put a little insert in there describing, um, a little breakdown about what happened with the dog, so people hopefully would have a better understanding about what happened and the decisions that were made and that kind of stuff. So I needed time to make that happen last night so that I could get it out today, you know, because I just need to get that done. But the video is out. Of course, it's not getting as many views on it as it did because there was already 1,000 views on it on the first one. So most people have already seen it, and so most people are probably not going to watch it again. But hey, it's out. People can watch it if they want. If not, oh well. You know, I went out on a country ride, and it's always an adventure. You know, there's always stuff that happens, and this time it included a dog in the road. So, look, most people are reasonable and understanding about the situation and are clear thinking about it. But there are some, I think, people with really big hearts who love dogs and animal lovers, people who love their dog. I mean, dogs are awesome. Dogs are cool. I love dogs. So I'm one of those people. But their big heart and their love for their dogs clouds their higher reasoning when it comes to an event like this. You know, that people can't just see it as an unfortunate event and then it just, it unfolds in a way sometimes that is not always what we want. That's how life is. Like, it's sad when a dog loses its life, right? But people go out in cars every day. People's family members and people riding motorcycles that die, like, regularly. In the motorcycle riding community, there's people that crash and die like all the time. It's like such a common thing. It's probably the most common thing. And then people riding in cars and stuff, they get T-boned or something and hit by other cars, and they end up dying in their cars too. And it's just terrible. It's sad. It's just life. And sometimes kids get out in the street. I don't know if I told you guys this, but let me start with a story. A long time ago, a very long time ago, whenever I was 5 years old, times were different back then, I will tell you. And not even when I was 5, but when I was 4 years old, we lived in a different state, a northern state, and I used to just go around and play outside. Remember I told you the story about how I knocked the mirror off of that muscle car, and then there was a cop that appeared right there, and I ran to my house, and that was my first police chase that I was ever in. I got caught, let's say, because my friend ratted me out. He lives there. So the cop came to my door. But anyway, side note, just to say, like back then, it was not dangerous for little kids to be playing outside, like in the apartment complex or in the neighborhood or whatever. And whenever we had moved away from the northern state that we lived in to Louisiana, and we lived there for a year whenever I was 5 years old, and we had an apartment that was close to a road that was similar to the one that was in the video where I hit the dog, right? Similar to that, not exactly the same. And my mom said, okay, you can go outside and play, but whatever you do, do not cross the road in the front. Just stay in the apartment complex and do not go out to the front by the road. And whatever you do, don't cross the road. I said, okay, Mom. Well, what did I do? What did I do? There was another kid, and maybe he was a little older. And then there was a store across the street, right, on the other side of the road. And he goes, I want to go over there and get something from the store. Let's go. And I was like, okay. And so we walk up to the road, and I know I'm supposed to look, right? But I'm very young, and I didn't do it right. I looked left. No, I looked right. There was no cars coming, so I looked left, and there was a car coming, and I waited for that car, and then I did it wrong, and I just ran out into the road, and I didn't look to the right again. Because when you look to the right, there's nobody there, and then you look to the left, you're waiting for a car, you got to look to the right again to make sure in that time you were waiting for the other car to go by that a new car didn't show up. Well, a new car did show up. This is a true story that happened to me, okay? So I dart out in the road, and it so happens that a car's coming along, and I run into the side of the car as it's going by. I did not get hit directly in the front of the car, but I ran, a little 5-year-old kid, me, I ran right into the side of the car, and it was a woman that was driving by, minding her own business, and then all of a sudden she's in an incident where she's hit a kid, right? I bounce off the car, and then I make it back over to my side of the road, and I lay down in the grass, and like I'm in shock, right? I can't move. And so the other kid, he goes and gets my mom. Loads of cars stop, and all people come around, and they're all like over me. And the woman, she was like totally freaking out because she thought she had just. That's a serious thing if you hit somebody with a car, right? That's a very serious thing. And it wasn't her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. But of course she's going to feel that. She's going to feel terrible about it, and because she has a heart. She's a normal human being. I remember it even from 5. That's kind of a traumatic thing that happens. And whenever traumatic things happen to you in your life, you don't forget those things. And I remember it. I can see it in my mind just like it was yesterday. And so my mom comes, and she's like, oh my God, are you okay? And she's looking me over and everything, and I was fine. I was just scared, I almost died. And it was my fault because I didn't listen to my mom. And it wasn't the lady's fault. It would be wrong to blame her because I was out loose running around, which wasn't abnormal at that time to have a kid that young running around the apartment complex playing with friends. We played hide and seek and all this other stuff, like all the time. We were just hanging out all the time. And a similar situation to kind of like me hitting the dog, right? It's kind of a similar situation. But my mom did not get upset with the lady or anything. You know what she did? She told her, said, listen, it's not your fault. Everything's fine. He's okay. Everything's good. And that was the end of it. And my mom said, do not ever cross that road again. And I said, okay, Mom, I won't. And I never did again after that. I had to learn the hard way. I've always been that way my entire life, And I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't have an ego or anything like that, I kind of, it's just my nature. I kind of just do things my way, and then sometimes it works out okay, and sometimes there's consequences for it. And this was one of those times where I almost died. If I would have been just a half a second sooner, I would have been hit by the front of that car and probably crushed. I almost lost my life that day. And then I would have been underneath the wheel of the car just like that dog was underneath my wheels. So I've been hit by a car basically, and it's not fun. It's not something you ever want, and I certainly wouldn't wish it upon the poor woman driving the car. But and now, fast forward all of these years, I have run over animals before, but it hardly ever happens. I think the last animal that I ran over, I was in a car, and it was at night, and I was driving down the road, and it was 2 lanes going the same direction. And then there was like a median section. There was 2 lanes going the other direction. And this is kind of a wooded area, just like what was in the video. And there was an armadillo that was running in the road, right? And he was running away from my car, and I was far enough away, and I was like, well, I'm just going to change lanes. And you know what he did? He changed lanes into my path again. And then I changed lanes again, and I'm getting closer to him. Well, he zigzagged back again. This is something I remember, right? And then as I'm getting closer, I'm like, oh shit, and then and I changed lanes again, and he darted again in front of my car, and I ran over him. I hit him. And it wasn't nice. It wasn't fun. It felt like maybe like if you'd run over like a watermelon or something. It was like a popping kind of a sound. And that was probably like in 1986, 1987, somewhere around there. That's probably the last time I hit anything. I haven't hit any dogs. Squirrels sometimes run out, but I don't think I hit a squirrel. But there's been close calls with squirrels because they love to run out like right in front. But if you hit a squirrel like in a car or your motorcycle or something, people don't gather in front of your house and start, with pitchforks and torches and burning crosses in your front yard and shit like that. They don't want to break down your door and drag you outside. But if it just happens to be another living creature known as a dog, it kind of complicates the situation a little bit, because that's a companion. I don't even know if it's a companion to anybody. It could have been a stray dog. I'm thinking it was probably somebody's little property dog or whatever. It didn't have a collar on it or anything like that. And I did look. If you watch the video, you can see it happened really fast. But anyway, I did my best to avoid it. But I didn't crash the group, and I didn't crash myself. And everybody was okay, but the dog, right? The dog had to go, okay? In that case, it had to be the dog. It's a hard decision. It sucks. It's not the perfect outcome. But I don't regret what I did, because everybody was okay, except for the dog. The dog's life is not worth as much as my life or as much as the other riders in the group's lives. It's not, okay? I don't care what anybody says. It's irrational, and it's emotional to think otherwise, right? Even if that's your dog, and if your dog has to die to save somebody's life, a human being's life, then your dog has to die, okay? That's just the way it is. And that's just reasonable, rational thinking, okay? Because everybody knows a human life has more value on it than an animal, no matter what that animal is. But I think some people who watch the video are, like I said, I think they have big hearts and they're just animal lovers. And then no matter what, it was just the fact that it happened makes me, an evil person, So I'm getting some heat about that being an evil person. And I can take it. It's fine. I understand that these people have big hearts and they are letting their emotions cloud their higher reasoning. It's just, some people are just, I don't even know how old they are. They might even be just young, They just don't understand how life is. Life is brutal, sometimes. And like I said, and some people leave the house in their cars and then they die in car crashes and all this and that. You cannot have life without death. Death is linked to life. You can't have good without bad. You can't have up without down. These things we understand about our reality cannot exist without the opposite. And you can't have safety without risk, right? And anytime we get on the motorcycles, there's always risk involved. However, we did not crash through a mistake, okay, like a lot of people do. That did not happen. It was a random occurrence, an emergency situation that popped up, that it just happened and unfolded the way that it did. And that doesn't make me a bad person. And I'm not really, I'm not beating myself up over it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a little dog. I'm sorry that it happened, but okay, that's it. All right. What am I supposed to do? Like commit suicide? Like the Japanese, like to keep my honor, I gotta do the ritual. I gotta kneel down. I gotta drink my last little sip of sushi or what sake. I got to drink my last little sip of sake, like I'm in my full dress, and then I get my sword out, and then because you got to do it like that to be sure that, you really do the damage enough to kill yourself. Is that what I'm supposed to do? It ain't going to happen. Not for a little doggy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but whenever people are losing their minds over it, I'm going to be real about it, and the real thing about it is that everybody was safe. And honestly, if you want to blame anybody for what happened, it certainly wouldn't be me. It would be the dog owner, right? The owner who the dog managed to escape somehow. That means that the owner didn't do everything the owner was supposed to do to keep the dog from running out into the road. And if that dog was a pet of somebody who lived right there on that very busy, fast-paced, rural roadway, that's negligence on their part. Okay? But see, that's the reality of the situation, but I don't even really blame them because I understand how it can be. I've been around for a while, and I know that sometimes people have dogs. When they open up the door, if the dog is able to escape, they just bolt. They bolt out the door. They go running around the neighborhood, and they got to go track them down. Some dogs are just like that. And it's not because the owner was necessarily negligent that the dog managed to bolt out the door. Like they were probably trying to block it and be quick, but the dog just made it anyway. Dogs are quick, and they're good. They're not stupid, they're smart and they know how to escape, like where they're pinned up. They can do that. If they're able to, they'll do it. Because nobody wants to be pinned up. Not a dog, not a human. Nobody does. So, I don't hold it against the homeowner. However, what if, now this is just an alternate reality that could have occurred. There could have been a multi-bike pileup. And one of the bikers, it could have been me, or it could have been Rob, it could have been anybody in our group that might have lost their lives because of it. See, this is rational thinking right here. If that wasn't handled properly, and say I slammed on my brakes and Rob slammed on his brakes, and then all of a sudden we get an accordion rear-ended like a train derailment, right? It's like where the engine goes off, and then all of a sudden the cars just come piling up into like this giant mess. That could have easily happened. Okay, We're doing 70 miles per hour in formation, and if I and Rob slammed on our brakes at the same time, that could have ended with all of us on the ground in a giant freaking mess. Okay, and if that would have happened, but the dog runs away, is that a better scenario? If you ask some of the people flaming me, not very many, not as many this time as there was on the first release of the video, those people would probably say, yeah, that's better. They don't know what they're talking about. That's like, they're not reasonable people. Their emotions control them, and they're just not reasonable. So, I didn't have to repost the video. I could have just taken it down and just said, screw it. It's not worth it. But I'm not doing that. I made the video. This is what happened, and it's getting posted, and that's all there is to it. And if somebody doesn't like it, that's tough shit. That's too bad. The people that can't handle it, I understand they have a big heart, and I respect that, and I think that's probably a good quality about them in a way. So I'm not going too hard on them, but they need to mature up and grow up a little bit is what they need to do. But nothing I say will ever make that happen. So anyway, that's my opening for tonight. It's a pleasant opening, right? So I see Bezzy, I see Pitchfork, Seth, Lucas says, GOAT, man of principles, greatness achieved. I don't know, man. I'm just a normal person like anybody else. But I am not going to lose my mind over this, and nor should anybody. This was a solid outcome. I'm glad it turned out the way that it did. It could have been worse. I'm thankful for the positives. The negative was the dog didn't make it. And that's just the way it goes. I did not put the dog in the road. Okay, period. That's just that one statement right there absolves me of any blame for what happened. I have no blame whatsoever for what happened. I attempted to avoid it. The dog just ran right. It happened like in half a second. And then I did not put the dog in the road. Okay? If I put the dog in the road and then I hit the dog, then you would have a case, right, against me. But all of a sudden I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just riding down the road, and then all of a sudden, boop, emergency. Right? Not my fault at all. And I will not take the blame for it. Anybody who's a clear-headed thinker would think, okay, nobody crashed. That's a win. And it is. Period. Okay. I don't care what anybody thinks. Dean, what's going on? What's going on, dude? So, Pitchfork, you're out, but you're going to leave the stream running? Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Seth says you could sue the dog owner for emotional trauma. Yeah, that may be possible, but I'm not really a litigious person, because look, just like I don't want to be blamed for something that really wasn't in my ability to control, right? I understand. I'm being empathic and sympathetic toward the homeowner, because I know how dogs are. They just get out sometimes, and that I will give the benefit of the doubt. I will assume that the homeowner didn't want that to happen. I'm sure if they could have done something to prevent the dog from getting out, they would have done it, right? So I'm not putting the blame on them. However, if there was a multi-bike pileup because of that dog, and it could be traced to somebody, that might be a different story, right? I don't know. I don't exactly know how that works, but there might be a case there at that point, because then human beings and a lot of property would have been lost at that point, and a lot of medical bills and stuff like that. Um, but if the little dog, doesn't make it, but everybody else is okay. I mean, what else could you hope for in an emergency situation like that, except for everybody to make it, including the dog, which I do wish for that, but there is no going back. It's just, think how I feel though too. I'm not saying I'm a victim, but people should just put themselves into my shoes too. See, people are assuming that I don't care or anything like that. That's absolutely not true. It's awful. I'm the one that had to go over the dog and feel the dog underneath my wheels. I went through that. That's a part of my life history now. Just like the woman whose car that I ran into the side of whenever I was 5 years old. That became a part of her life that she will always remember. That would be a terrifying thing in her life, and an awful thing. But it could have been worse, because what if I would have run out and then she would have run over me? Think how she would have felt at that point. And it's not her fault. It was my fault, because I didn't listen to my mom. And it wasn't really my mom's fault. I mean, some people today, you would look at it and say, well, your mom was negligent for letting you run around. But times were different then, okay? All the kids were out running around. Times were different. That was normal then. So my mom didn't do anything wrong either. It was my fault because of me. I'm just me, and in that case, that was my fault. But if she would have run me over, I don't even think my mom would have gone after her, because people didn't sue people back then like the way that they do. You know why? Because America was more close together. It was more unified. Everybody was like each other. There wasn't a whole lot of people from different countries moving in or anything like that. It was mostly just a multi-generational Americans, right? That's what everybody was. Everybody was similar, and everybody was going to church, and and everybody was part of the neighborhood and everything like that. Things were just different then than they are now, and there wasn't as much division. We all viewed each other as like a family in the country back then. Much different than it is now. There's a lot of differences now because of the way things have changed. So I don't even think my mom would have probably sued the lady. It would have been bad and all that stuff, and that lady would have had to live with it for the rest of her life. But Dean, thanks for the super chat. Says duck was higher on the food chain than the dog. Oh yeah, the bike was higher on the food chain than the dog. Yeah, that's true. The Ducati was definitely worth more than the dog, for sure. There's no doubt. And I don't mean to sound insensitive. We're just talking about monetary value. And even if it wasn't mine, say I was an observer of this situation and it wasn't happening to me. Say it was happening to somebody else, I would say the same thing. I would say the exact. I look at this unbiased. And if I was at fault, if anything I did was wrong, I would admit to it. Because I don't mind admitting to my faults. I'm not perfect. Wow, big shocker. Like I've never made a mistake in my life. I've made lots of mistakes. I even openly admit it. I say I make tons of mistakes. A lot of shit I do is wrong. I say that all the time. Far from perfect. I learned the hard way. That's admitting that I make mistakes, right? So I'm not afraid of admitting mistakes. I wish that this would not have occurred, but as far as like suing and stuff and all that, just I'm not a person that sues anybody, man, because I put myself in the other person's shoes. It's just like shit happens, it just happens. And sometimes it's not pleasant. Sometimes the shit that happens in life is just not pleasant. What do we expect everything to go perfectly all the time? How is that that's not even possible. It's not even reasonable to expect that or to even think that or even try for that. I mean, in a way, I mean, we always try to have everything go perfectly, but we do that knowing that it's probably not going to happen perfectly the way we want it. Not look, not even talking about this, just talking about anything that happens or that we attempt to do in life. We get really excited when it goes right, right? Like if you win something or if you try something and you make it, it's like, hey, awesome. Why do we feel like that when it works out? Because most of the time it doesn't work out, right? So whenever things just come, you know how like once in a while everything just comes together perfectly on something, whatever it is, and you're just like, wow, that was great. How often do you say that? I don't say that very often. I don't. But when it does, it's like, oh shit, that was badass. Why do we have that reaction? Because usually things don't just work out perfectly the way you imagined it. There's always something that goes wrong or some kind of a barrier or a difficulty or something that gets in the way or it's just whatever. It's just there's always something that prevents uh, everything from going exactly the way that you hoped it would. So whenever things go perfectly, we get like amazed by it, because it's rare. I'm not saying we fail at everything. I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm talking about. Whenever things just go well and everything just drops into place, it's just like, that was unusual, but I'll take it. So you have to, whenever you are reasonable about your view and your interpretation of reality, see, if you're young, and you're still kind of driven by emotions and the realities of life fully haven't, had their impact upon you and your thought process and your spirit and everything, you tend to get worked up and not see things clearly sometimes because of it. And sometimes the importance is out of proportion. We place importance to things that may not rise to that level that we think it is, right? So, did a dog lose its life? Does that suck? Absolutely. It ranks pretty damn high on the suck scale, right? It does. But what ranks much higher on the suck scale? Having a bunch of bikers crash, or even if I crash, trying to avoid it. Let's do an experiment real quick. Let's ask the Google machine. Okay. What should you do if you're driving down a country road and an animal appears suddenly in front of you when you're doing 70 mph? And I'm just saying driving because that's going to give us a car, but we'll check motorcycle too. And now I've never looked this up, so we're going to be looking at this together for the first time. So I have no idea what it's going to say. I can see it's open right here, but I'm not looking at it. Okay, so at 70 miles per hour on a country road, your instinct will be to swerve. but that is actually the most dangerous move. Instead, brake firmly in a straight line, keeping your hands tightly on the wheel and stay in your lane. Swerving can cause a rollover and send you into oncoming traffic. Okay, it's telling you to brake in a straight line and don't swerve. And then assess the surroundings, honk the horn, and then right here, I'm gonna expand it to continue on, and I say, what if there are other drivers behind you? If you have drivers close behind you, you must still firmly brake firmly in a straight line. While it feels scary to risk a rear-end crash, it's still much safer than swerving. Swerving at 70 miles per hour can cause a rollover or push you into a head-on collision. Now, we saw one of the motorcyclists that was behind Rob have to swerve around Rob into oncoming traffic to not hit him, right? Brake as hard as safely as possible. And it says small animal versus large animal. For small animals, if it's a squirrel, rabbit, bird darts out, do not slam the brakes so hard that you cause a multi-car pileup. See? So it matters the size of the animal too. So it changes. So what it recommended now has changed because it's a small animal, and that dog was small. So sadly, it is safer to hit a small animal than to cause a massive highway crash. That's exactly what I did, okay? Now, I did not brake hard. I tried to move over and get out of the way because this right here is thinking it's cars. Now, let's ask it, what if this scenario was while riding a motorcycle with other motorcycles following closely behind. All right. The golden rule for motorcycles is to brake firmly in a straight line while staying in your lane. Swerving at 70 miles per hour is incredibly dangerous and can easily cause you to low side slide out, high side be thrown from the bike. Additionally, if you swerve unexpectedly, the riders behind you will not know which way you were going, making a multi-bike pileup much more likely. But this, I don't agree with this necessarily, because you look, if y'all ride motorcycles and you ever been on group rides, and you can see it on group ride videos, crash compilation group ride videos, as soon as something happens in front of somebody, the person behind hits them. Like, especially in the stunt rides, whenever they crash, like doing wheelies and stuff, the people that are following right behind run them over. I just over the past couple of days, I've watched several videos showing the person following hitting the rider who crashed and is now on the ground with their motorcycle. They run them over, just like the dog got run over. Human beings were getting run over in these videos. So, small animal versus large animal on a bike. For small animals, the animal is smaller than the object you could normally ride over, like a cat, like a squirrel, cat, or a small dog. The safest option is to hold the throttle steady and ride through it. There you go. So it's no longer braking. It's doing exactly what I did. And I've never looked this up. I've had no education on what to do in that situation. I haven't ever researched it. I've never looked it up. I've never had the scenario play out. But because I'm a natural at riding, I just naturally knew what to do in that situation. hold the throttle steady, keep the bike upright, don't swerve or turn, and don't brake, and then you just go over it, right? And that's exactly what I did, and it's confirmed right there that that was the right thing for me to do. And I just knew it instinctively because I know how to ride, and I know how my bike is most likely going to react in various situations. Because I have a lot of dirt riding experience, bicycle riding experience, moped riding experience, and years and years and years of seat time. So it just came to me naturally what to do in a split microsecond. And but it says for large animals, hitting a deer or wild hog at 70 will likely cause a severe crash. You must scrub off as much speed as humanly possible before impact. Now that for sure. If it's a large animal, like what they just said, and if you hit that, you are definitely going down. You are definitely going to crash, most likely. So slowing down as much as possible. And then if you've got a bunch of riders behind you, you just hope that they're not sleeping and that they can react quickly. And it's not just one bike behind you. It's one bike behind you, and then a bike behind that person, and a bike behind that person, and a bike behind that person, and another bike behind that person. That's where we were at. That's what the scenario was. There was at least 8 bikes behind me, including the 2 that we passed that were not part of our group. So every single one of those riders would have had to been focused and able to brake, and their reaction time perfect, and able to brake in succession and to not have a crash because the people in the front slammed on the brake. The dog was small, hold throttle. I was decelerating is what I was doing. I wasn't even holding the throttle. I was closed throttle, but the speed didn't change much because it would just happen so fast. So if you look at it in the video, you can see 69 miles per hour coming up to the dog and then on impact of the dog. So I did the right thing just instinctively. But I will be totally honest with you. I wasn't sure if I was going to crash. How could I know? I've never run over a dog before. I've never hit anything like that on my motorcycle. I have hit road debris, and a bit much larger road debris. A giant piece of like box, like an aluminum box, basically, on my R1. I was doing 100 miles per hour, and I was lane splitting in between 2 cars when I hit it. I go airborne, and I'm flying in a jump in between 2 cars on the highway at night on my R1, and I had only had the R1 for 2 months at that time. And I was just doing 150 miles per hour, like going around cars. Right before that, I slowed down because I just felt like slowing down at that moment. I looked in between the cars. I didn't see anything. That aluminum metal box or whatever was gray. It blended into the frickin' roadway, and I could not see it. And so I go in between the cars because it was a left lane hog, a left lane camper, and I as soon as I got in between the 2 cars to lane split, I was accelerating, and boop, up in the air I went. And I Superman on the bike, but I was able to come down on it and save it. And while I was in the air, one of the cars honked at me, like, you douchebag. That's right. And they might have had a point at that moment because I hit road debris. And it probably scared the shit out of those people because now a bike is flying right next to their freaking heads out their window. They probably were just like, they probably couldn't believe what they just saw. But I did not crash. How did I not crash? It collapsed the front wheel basically in a big way, but it was still able to roll, but it had no air in the tire. The tire was immediately flat. And then the rear tire got a big taco in it, but it still held air. So when I come down at 100 miles per hour out of a jump in between 2 cars, I'm landing doing 100 with no air in the front tire. But anyway, I was able to get it off the road and stop safely without crashing. That's a fact. That happened to me. I don't even like saying that happened to me, but it did. And then now, here we go into the future, and now I've got this freaking emergency situation. Look, when we ride motorcycles, do we think there's not going to be an emergency situation at some point? Of course we do. That's in my mind all the time when I'm riding. I always think, okay, what emergency is going to pop up? I'm constantly thinking that. When we were out there in the country, I will admit, when we were just riding where the dog popped up, I wasn't really thinking there was going to be an emergency at that moment. Not like out when we're going faster, like in the more wooded areas where there aren't any houses. I think, well, maybe a deer could run out or something, I'm thinking that. And I'm just hoping it doesn't happen, because if it does, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just rolling the dice. Whenever we go out in the country, a deer could, I'm thinking it's hot. It's the middle of the day, like it, and hopefully the deer are sleeping. That's really what I'm hoping. But if a deer runs out, but see, in that particular moment, I wasn't thinking, well, you never completely drop your guard, but I wasn't imagining that a little dog was going to be in the road. I wasn't expecting that at all. So, but with a small animal, you're not supposed to brake hard. In most cases, if there's nobody following you and it's a large animal like a deer or a big dog or whatever, or like they said, a wild hog or some shit, because they're out there too, then you have to slow down as much as possible, because they know, this AI or whatever knows that you're going to crash. You're probably going to hit it, but if the less fast you're going, the better off you're going to be, because it's going to lessen the impact and therefore lessen the bodily harm to you. But if it's a small animal, you hold the throttle steady. Why do they say hold the throttle steady? That's an important thing to understand. Because you don't want the front of the bike to be loaded with extra, like the weight transfer. Like when you brake, the front of the bike dives a little bit. And if you're about to hit something and you are braking and all the weight is transferred onto the front wheel, it's harder for that front wheel to go over that thing in the road. A lot of times, like if you do any dirt riding experience, if you have any dirt riding experience, do any dirt bike riding off-road, you know that when you're going, when you see like little things in the road or whatever, like little logs and sticks when you're going down a trail, you give it gas to lighten the front so that you can go over it. So braking is not the right thing to do when you're about to hit something. And the other reason is if you're heavy braking and then you hit it, that's just like hitting a slippery patch of oil or something in the road, and your front tire is going to lose traction, and then you're going to end up on the ground because it's like your front tire washing out. So you don't want to apply brake. You just want to brace for impact, basically, and try to remain upright and stable. That's what you do, and that's exactly what I did naturally. I tried to get out of the way. It ran in front of me, and I didn't brake or anything because there were people behind me, and the dog was small enough, and that's it. Stupidity pisses me off. What's going on? Core Zero says Goat keeps on about this because he knows deep inside he could have avoided it. Why would anybody else keep on about it? Matters not. It's over. No, Core Zero, I know you're the type of person to just say whatever you think, and that's fine. I mean, that's what I do too, but you're wrong about that. I feel bad about the dog losing its life, bro. That's why I'm on about it. It's not because I'm blaming myself because I did something wrong. Okay? So let's be clear about that. See, you're making assumptions about me that you don't know. Okay? So don't do that. If you have a question, then just ask me and I will be honest with you. but don't make improper assumptions about me. I mean, you're free to do it, but you're just wrong. I don't like the fact. I love animals. I love dogs, and it it hurts me to know that I killed an animal. Okay, I don't like that. That's where this is coming from, and I want people to understand that the right thing was done. Okay, and if I don't defend, nobody's going to defend me if I don't defend myself. I mean, Rob defended me a little bit, and I appreciate that very much. It's not his job to do that, though. It's nobody's job to make this clear but me, because it happened to me and nobody else. And I'm glad it happened to me and not anybody else in my crew, because I care about them. I wouldn't look. I'm not happy that this happened to me, and that's what you're hearing. Okay, I don't like it. It's not my fault. I did not make a mistake. Let me be clear. I did not make a mistake. Okay, there was no mistake made. It was an unavoidable thing. Do I need to play the video again for you to see how quickly it happened? You think you could have avoided it? Okay, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying if you think that, you're crazy, because I'm quite sure there's not too many people that can claim to be better than me. Okay, and I'm not trying to sound like that or whatever, but if I tried my best to avoid it and still hit it, I just caution anybody else to take a different stance, saying I could have avoided it. And that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it as if you were in my spot. What would have happened if you were in my spot? You think you could have avoided it? I mean, who knows? Maybe you would have just chosen to do something different. See, some people were saying, if I would have just gone straight, I would have avoided it. And that would have been true. But then I would have been flamed for saying, you didn't even try to change direction to not hit it. Right? See, this is a no-win situation for me. Because you obviously love dogs, and I think that's great. I love dogs too. But now you're going to judge me because you're placing higher value on the dog than what actually occurred, which was the safety of all of the riders. You see, the number one thing is the safety of the riders, including me. If it's the dog or me, I'm damn well sure going to tell you it's going to be me. Okay, I'm not going to sacrifice myself for not that dog or for not any dog. And if that means I have to give it gas while I'm going over the dog to save me and use the dog for traction, that's what I will do to save myself and the people behind me. I would not hesitate to use that dog for frickin' traction. Okay, if that's what I thought it would take for me to survive it. Let's just be clear, okay? I will use the dog for traction to survive if I have to, okay? Let's just be very rational about this. And if you're thinking that I'm talking about this, I'm talking about it because the fact that I killed the dog bothers me, okay? And I don't like being inappropriately judged, okay? So I have a platform here, and this is the biggest thing that's happened to me in as long as I can remember, and so I'm talking about it, okay? And if you don't like it, if you don't want to hear it, then okay, you don't have to hear it. Rooster's here. What's up, dude? Our stoner. What's up, dude? Okay, and Corsi was saying, fuck the people behind you. He's just using them as an excuse. They weren't that, if they were that close, they shouldn't have been. We were riding in formation, okay, and at 70 miles per hour, they were following at a safe distance. However, if the person in front of you just slams on the brakes out of nowhere, what do you think is going to happen? Rob did slam on his brakes, and luckily the guy following him swerved out of the way. But if there was a car coming in the other direction, which there wasn't, luckily at that moment, there would have been a crash from what exactly happened. Okay, and I'm not blaming Rob for that, but Rob is a big heart and he loves animals. He braked out of instinct to do that, and he did the right thing for him. Okay, and it worked out good. And I'm not second guessing what Rob did. I'm saying it worked out well for him. But the fact is that the guy behind him had to swerve into oncoming traffic. And if a car was coming and he did that, he'd be dead. Okay, and then if there was a car coming and he didn't swerve into oncoming traffic, he might have run into the back of Rob. Okay, or me. See, you weren't there. All you're going to do is sit there and talk shit because you don't know. Okay, you weren't there. I was there. Okay, and man, there's always going to be some fucking idiot, right, that thinks they know better, that could have done better, that could have, it always looks at it after the fact. Let me tell you something. You can't outride me. Your reflexes aren't faster than me. And you could not have saved this, and you couldn't have done better than me. And in fact, you might have actually crashed in this situation. A lot of other people might have crashed in this situation. Okay? Let's just keep it real. If this happened to me, then it probably would have been worse if you were in my situation. Maybe, maybe not, but most likely. You would have slammed on your brakes, and then you would have been chewed up in a pileup of bikes with everybody piled on top of you. And who knows what would have happened to you. Because that's what you're saying. You're saying you should have hit the brakes. Screw the people behind you. They weren't that close. And then you said, and if they were that close, they shouldn't have been. But that means then, okay, then it's an accident. Then you're okay with saving the dog and having everybody crash because, well, it was their fault for following too closely. That's what you just said. That's fucking retarded, okay? You don't know anything, bro. You talk a lot of shit like you think you know something. You don't know anything. And I just proved it right there with your own statement. You're not reasonable. Because you would rather choose saving the dog than all of your friends behind you. That's a fucking idiot move, bro. That is done through emotion. That's an emotional response after the fact, and it's so easy for you to sit there and judge. You don't know your ass from the hole in the ground. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me, man. Oh, you have far more experience than me, huh? Yeah, right. Get out of here. That's funny. We all make mistakes. I didn't make a mistake, dude. That's the thing. I see what you're doing. Oh, don't worry about it. We all make mistakes. No, I did not make a mistake. Oh, God. So stupid. Let me see the video, dude. If that ABS light on the dash, I know you suck and that dog could have lived. What are you saying? Let me see the video, dude. If that ABS light ain't on the dash, you know you suck and that dog could have lived. Fuck you. Minza, go fuck yourself. How about that? Look right here. Right here. For small animals, if the animal's smaller than the object you could normally ride over, like a squirrel, cat, or small fucking dog, it says it right here. The safest option is to hold the throttle steady and ride right through it, you dumb fuck. Get the fuck out of my chat, bro. Idiot. I'm not holding back with you fucking morons, bro. I'm not doing it. You're an idiot. You're a pussy, okay? You would rather make all your friends crash and judge me, okay? Get the fuck out of here. I don't care who you are. You're an idiot. I don't need to talk to you. Okay. I'll show it right now. I'll show it. I'll show it. I got you, dog. I got you. I'll show it to you. You're not going to see an ABS light because right here, it's not even me. I'm telling you right here. For small animals, you ride over it, bro. You ride over it. And that's not even taking into account that there's 8 other bikes behind me cruising at 70 miles per hour. You dumb fuck. Idiot. That's what you are. You're a fucking idiot. You know, I'm not an idiot. And that's why I was able to save it. Okay? I didn't want it. I did not want it. But that's what happened. Watch how fast it happens. Here, I'll show you. I'll even zoom in on the fricking instrument cluster if that's what you want. Okay. Traffic ahead. That's right. We're coming up on these two guys right here. They are not with us. And look at the bikes they're riding. They're not riding super sports. Okay, Rob goes up ahead, catching up to him. Can see it. Here it comes. Look how fast that happened. Huh? Look how fast it happened. I'm gonna show you again. That's the thumbnail that I created that you're seeing right there though. Let me turn off this music. Um can get rid of that. Okay. Look. Let's watch it again. Watch how fast it happens. And that's how fast it happened. That's slow motion right there. I swerved to the right, try to get away from it. Dog ran underneath my wheels. That's fast, right? I mean, 70 miles per hour. It appeared out of nowhere. It was on the left-hand side of the road, too, and it kind of stopped on the left-hand side, so I moved over to the right. It was on the left-hand side of the road. Then I move over to the right to give it space, and then it ran right over in front of me in the blink of an eye. Brace for impact. You're going over it. Okay, I hope it doesn't. I hope it works out. And if you think that was my fault because I did something wrong, you're just an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just emotional and you want to talk shit. That's all it is. You're an emotional wreck over the dog, which I'm not going to be an emotional wreck over the dog. And that's all there is to it, bro. You just think, I mean, whatever. I don't really care what you think. Yeah. A stoner says at full speed it looks like a squirrel. Yeah, it was real small. I knew it was a dog. I knew it was a small dog, and I could tell that it wasn't a puppy or anything like that. It looked like just a miniature type of dog of some kind, and there's really not much you can do. You know, it just pops up out of nowhere. But you're gonna have morons say you could have saved it. Blah 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 blah. You could have, and now look here. I'll show you. Now watch. Okay, this is it right here. I'm moving over, just trying to get away from it, but I run out of road. I can't go any further. Then watch what happens right here. I have this zoomed in, right, or zoomed out, so I can show more of the field. But on this 360 cam, it makes things look far away when they're really not. They're really not far away. Okay, the everybody knows that on these cameras things are farther away. Or they look farther away than they actually are. Everybody knows that, unless you don't know anything about watching YouTube videos or making content. And look, this is what I wanted to show you right here. And I can even extend this out to show you even more. Look, we can go back and watch this whole thing right here. Look, see, look, see how he has to go into oncoming traffic because he sees an oncoming traffic right there, and so he goes around way over to the other side of the road, right there. There you go. And that was because Rob braked, and that's a natural instinct to do, right? That's a natural instinct, but it caused the guy behind him to have to take evasive action to move, right? Which good on him for doing it. So it all worked out okay for everyone involved, but except for the dog. So anyway, stupidity pissing me off. Says, go. Did you have to stop and talk to the owners too? Damn, that sucks. Bad day. Sorry about that. Nothing you could have done. No, no, no. We just kept going. As far as I know, Rob said that a couple of the riders in the group did stop to look, and the dog was just obliterated, gone. And the dog had no collar or anything like that. So, um, did but I did not stop. No, because I knew that there was no way the little dog would survive that. And so what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to go back and look at a freaking ripped apart shredded dog? No, no, I ain't doing that. And and everybody decided. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but the decision was made to keep going too, because it wasn't really safe to slam on the brakes and stop. That was one of the reasons, but not the whole reason. The whole reason for me is I knew that dog was dead. There was no way it could survive. And if somebody wants to think I'm an evil person or a bad person because of that, go ahead. I don't really care. Here, look, I'll show you. Here it is. And I don't mean to traumatize anybody, but that's look, that's the dog obliterated, like coming apart. The wheels ran over the body of the dog, okay? And the insides of the dog came out, okay? So there you go. There's no way it can survive. And then watch. Then you can see, and I'm not hysterical. I don't want to hurt the little dog, but okay, all right. It's not the end of the world. Okay, it worked out as good as it could, and I'm not. I mean, I feel bad about it. I really do, but I'm not gonna, um, curl up into a ball over it. And look, here I'll show you. No movement. There's no movement whatsoever because the dog was shredded apart from the tire. See? There's no movement. And look where the bikes are. That's right after. Look, that's like 2 seconds, right? After you can see the bump. You can see the bump in the video. There's the bump right there. Now look, let's play it in full speed. Let's play this in full speed, and then you can watch how quickly the other bike came right where the dog is. Well, this doesn't. This is heavy. All of these video files are heavy, so it's choppy whenever I play it back. So let me see. It's just here. I can load up the other video if y'all want to see it. The regular video. I have it. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right. Let me size this up. Here we go. All right. Okay. So you could have done better than that, Core Zero? You could have reacted quicker? You could have made a better decision? Nah, bro. No, you couldn't have. I mean, who knows, man? But I did the best I could do. I don't know what else to tell you. And if you want to hate me for it, if you want to hate me because I'm a dog murderer, go ahead, bro. I mean, that's your choice to think that. That's your choice. Here we go again. Look, it happens very fast. Watch how fast. Look, it's getting ready to happen right here. And I even, but the zoom in makes it look like it's slower than it actually is. Look at this. Okay, moved over, try to avoid it, and boom, there it was. You think you could have reacted faster than that? Nah. Nope. Boom, like that. Boom, there it is. And you see, look, in the video, let's watch it again. But watch how quickly the bikes behind get to the dog after I hit it. Watch. Watch how quickly. Just count. It's like 1 second. So the bikes look like they're farther away because I have the 360 like zoomed out to show more. Watch. Here we go. Boom. 1 second. This bike right here passed the dog after I did 1 second. That was a 1 second following distance. Okay. Which is fine usually, right? And it was fine in this case because I didn't slam on the brakes. But this guy had to take evasive action and go into oncoming traffic because of the braking. If we both would have braked, then these people back here probably would have run into us. Right? Okay. That's just a fact, bro. And there's no other way to look at that. Unless you're just an emotional person that just doesn't want to see the truth. Watch. Once the dog's hit, count. 1 second. And that next bike behind me was on that dog in 1 second. There you go. If I was to slam on the brakes, that person behind me would have had to take evasive action too. But where would they have gone? Rob was there. I would have been there. And then they would not have time to swerve over around two bikes into oncoming traffic. And then if there was a car coming, that would have been a problem. Luckily, there wasn't. It worked out. Okay? Everything worked out the best way it possibly could. Y'all can sit there and second guess and do all that shit. And if you want to think I'm a bad person, unsubscribe from my channel and don't come back here if that's what you think. Okay? That's up to you. So anyway, Miki, what's up, Miki? How are you, man? Sidewalk Star, what's going on? Sidewalk Star says you're lucky a chunk of it did not fly up into the bike. Yeah, I mean, it could have. Uh, he says, Minda says you blew past Rob fast enough to knock his fucking fairings off. He slammed on the brakes. We were doing the same speed, roughly the same speed. And he slammed on his brakes. Okay? So yeah, I'm going to pass him. And keep in mind, the camera always skews what it really looks like in real life because of the hyperview lens, the zooming in on the 360. I mean, I could reload the 360 footage and show you and put it. I still got it all loaded right here. I can show you what it looks like without it zoomed in. Let me see what file that is, and I will pull it up if I can find it. So this file is 168 tail. Okay, hang on. Right here. I got it. I'll show you. You always want to second guess. You don't want to believe what I have to tell you. That's fine. But you're just wrong. You know, you're just wrong. Because I don't make anything up or I don't bullshit. I have a reputation of saying exactly how things are. So, uh, here, I'll bring you with me right now. Let me resize this so you can see it. There we go. That's me, my backpack right there. We're not quite there yet. See, this is what it looks like without any zoom. What I do is this. I pull it back and see how much farther away that looks. That's how I have it set in the video so that you can see more out the back view. But that's not really where it is. It's really like that. Okay? See? There you go. And you can see they're very close. Now, this is an MT, or no, one of those XSRs. This is a Ducati 9 something. And we got other bikes back here. An R1, an R9, and a CBR 1000, and a Gixxer 1000. And then somebody else, and then the two guys that we passed. And and another R1. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 8 bikes back here. Closer than what it appears in the video. So I went too far already. Yeah, there we go. I think it's like right here. Here it is. It's sketching out right what I need it not to be. Heavy video file. Okay, look, you can see. That's roughly where they're at. So they're close behind. They're very close behind. See, when you pull back, it makes things look farther away. See, look, this camera is right behind. It's like right here on my backpack, right? Until I use its cool feature to pull back, and then you can see much more. But it makes things look farther away than they actually are. So when all y'all smartasses who think oh yeah, they weren't that far behind you, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? Because all you're seeing is the zoomed out view. That look how far that puts it away. See, y'all don't know what you're talking about. So you make judgments on assumptions. That's what you do. You make assumptions. Monday morning quarterbacking after the fact. You have no clue what you're talking about. This is probably the accurate setting right here. Right here. And then when you pass the dog, it's 1 second until the next bike passes the dog. He's right there, right on top of it. If I was to slam on the brakes, that would cause a problem. Doesn't matter what y'all think anyway. Y'all weren't there. Uh, the Noir Storms. It's fisheye lens effect from zoomed out. Yeah. Bessie's like, that's a nice backpack. Go. You know, I've had it for like 5 years. It's a Sedici. Yeah, it is a cool backpack. Look here, I'll show it to you. It's right here. See the one that I have. This is it right here. Right. It's got these cool laces back here, and you know it has a thing in here at the top that if you're riding in rain, you can pull this cover out, and then it becomes waterproof. But yeah, I know it's dark. I know it's hard to see it, but yeah, this I've got it right here. I put all my batteries in there and my uh, my tire repair kit and stuff because when I go out to the country, I want to be sure that if anybody gets a flat or if I get a flat, I'll be able to fix it. See, here I am with my hands up going, holy shit, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. See, y'all don't see that in the video. You don't see my disbelief of what has just happened. Oh, yeah, everybody who watches it after the facts thinks that they could know. Do you see how fast that happened? See, you don't see that view. I didn't put that view in the video. Not going fast. We pick up the speed just to get around them a little bit. Rob goes up ahead, so I catch up to him. Maybe if I reduce the size of this a little bit, maybe it'll play easier. Let's see. Y'all see that swerve? See, you dumbasses who think you know what you're talking about? That was a complete swerve to try to get around that frickin' little doggy at the last second. Y'all could have moved quicker than that? No, you couldn't have. Because y'all don't ride a Ducati, and the Ducati's quicker. It moves quicker than y'all's bikes do. There you go. You can, and then my hands are up going, I can't believe it. Oh my God. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, how did this just happen? Nothing could have been done. I tried my best. Oh, you could have braked. You could have done this. You could have stayed home. You could have stood on your head. You could have done all this shit. You dumb fucks don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's it. There you go. All right. I don't suffer morons very easily. So anyway, uh, yeah, let's just get rid of him altogether. Yeah, I don't like his attitude very much. Uh, yeah, I will. I don't normally like ban people or anything like that, but if you're too stupid and you're just like dumbass like that, and you're trying to like no matter what, no matter what evidence you're shown as to how the reality is, and you're just like too stupid, then I don't really want you here. You know what I mean? I'm really not like that. I'm really not the kind of person to just dismiss anybody because, I just don't really worry about it that much. But if if you're just that kind of person where you're just too stupid to even understand what you're looking at, then it's just not, this just isn't the place for you, you know. So anyway, uh my own Bigfoot says a bunch of cryberry babies in the chat. Y'all will get over it. Yeah, I mean, everybody was safe, so that's a win. Okay, I'm very happy with the way that I handled the situation. Okay, I'm very unhappy that the dog lost its life, but I'm very happy with the way it worked out for all of us. And then people can come in and just say, "Oh yeah, you should have done this and you should have done that." Even when you show them how quickly things unfolded and the action that was taken, and then that whatever action was taken, and then there was no crashes that were involved, and nobody had damage to the bikes. There was no scratches on the bikes. Nobody went down. Nobody rear-ended each other. Nobody hit any oncoming traffic. That's a win. And anybody that can't see that is a moron, is an emotional, idiot. You know what I mean? Immature, emotional, that type of stuff. So. Starbucks store says, look in Discord. I got 2 vids for you regarding animals in the road. Okay, yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Okay. All right.
Or you're going through a neighborhood and there's a dog.
I opened this up. I thought there was a way to open this up.
Well, if you're a newer writer, the first thing you do is not panic.
Yeah, exactly. Not panic is good advice. See, I did not panic. Panicking, could have caused it to end much worse. One sec, folks. One sec. I need to oh, hang on. Bear with me, folks. I'm trying to get this going. Here we go. Okay. All right. We're there. All right. So this is Sidewalk Star.
In a neighborhood, or you're going through a neighborhood and there's a dog.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, get out of here.
Well, if you're a newer writer, the first thing you do is not panic. You let the dog chase you. Generally, they won't run in front of you. They'll run alongside of you and chase you for a little bit.
Don't fuck with me. What the fuck, man? Fix your dog.
Generally, you don't want to stop. If you stop, the dog may attack you.
Oh, I'm cooked.
If you don't know the dog, right?
Oh, sorry about the low volume.
There you go. Just don't panic. That's the first thing. The dog looks vicious. And the first thing that you could do is tell yourself confidently, you're wearing safety gear. You got the boots, you got the gloves.
I can't.
You got your armor on and a helmet. Like, what really is the dog doing? You ever get that dog in the neighborhood, or you're going through a neighborhood and there's a dog?
Hey, what are you doing?
4-0, you're not banned.
Well, if you're a newer writer, the first thing you do is not panic. You let the dog chase you. Generally, they won't run in front of you. They'll run alongside of you and chase you for a little bit.
Don't fuck with me. What the fuck, man? Fix your dog.
Generally, you don't want to stop. If you stop, the dog may attack you.
Oh, I'm cooked.
If you don't know the dog, right? So there you go. Just don't panic. That's the first thing. The dog looks vicious. And the first thing that you could do is tell yourself confidently, you're wearing safety gear. You got the boots, you got the gloves, you got your armor on and a helmet. Like, what really is the dog going to do to you, right? So don't worry so much about the dogs, not panic, and just keep cruising. Pro tip. Nice.
Now we got another one. One more.
You ever get that dog in the neighborhood, or you're going through a neighborhood and there's a dog?
Hey, what are you gonna do, squirrel? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh my god! Oh, dude, did I hit him?
He kept zigzagging back and forth. See, I thought that dog might do that too.
Dude, I hope I didn't hit that squirrel. Is it dead?
You got about 1,200 views on that one.
Oh, squirrel, squirrel. What are you gonna do? What are you
Look,
gonna
he
do,
goes
squirrel?
back and
What
forth.
are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh my God! Oh, dude, did I hit him?
All right. Yeah. So, anyway. Core Zero says practice e-brake. You're still on the braking, dude? I just explained to you with the 360 footage how that bike behind me was 1 second behind me, and when Rob braked, the bike behind him had to go into oncoming traffic to not run into him. But you're still on the braking. You're still like trying to save the dog, dude. I wish the dog was saved, but I'm not going to do something different than what I did, and I'm not going to think I should have done something different. Not because I think I could have done better or something like that. No, I did the best I could in that situation. And there isn't anybody here that could have done better than me. I don't think so. Okay? I don't think so. My reflexes are really good. One of the reasons why y'all watch this channel and my riding is because my reflexes are really good. And you saw in the video showing my backpack how quickly I reacted. It was like half a second. Half a fucking second. And I'm supposed to do better? I reacted in half a second, and I'm supposed to do better? I moved over as far as I could without going off the road. Now, let me tell you something. If that road was wider, like the highways that I ride on, I could have even swerved even harder. Like, I had nowhere to go. Okay, I swerved as far as I could, as quickly as I could, and the dog ran right underneath my wheels. And oh, I could have done better. Right. Oh, it's my fault. He knows he could have saved the dog. No, I couldn't have. And I don't really care about the dog, bro, when it comes to caring about my fellow riders and myself. I'm not going to go into the ditch to save the dog to make you happy, okay? Or to make you like me or think that I'm not a bad guy or something. Think I'm a bad guy. I'm evil. I aimed for the dog, okay? How about that? Let's go with I aimed for the dog, okay? And I hit my target. That's what I did. I was thinking about even speeding up, but I didn't need to hit him. I did it perfectly. That's exactly what I did. I hit the dog perfectly as I intended to do it. All right? I mean, oh, and I'm a bad rider, right? Everybody thinks I'm a bad rider. I haven't crashed since 1987, right? I haven't crashed since 1987, and I rip just as fast as anybody out there, right? And I move, and I go faster in certain places than a lot of other people do. And there's a few people that go faster than me in certain places, but I'm moving. All the time, everywhere I go, in heavy traffic, lane splitting, in the most hairy situations, in thunderstorms, I do it all. At night, 1.5 inch water on the highway, in between cars, at night, in frickin' torrent rain, with lightning all around me. I go out there and I do that shit, right? But now I'm not a good enough rider because a dog was in the road, and I swerved as far as I could without going off the road, and the dog ran right underneath my wheel. And according to Google, whenever the dog or the animal is small enough, you don't heavy brake. You just keep the throttle steady and go over it. You don't swerve. But I swerved anyway. I didn't do, but once I ran out of road, there was no more I could go. There wasn't any place else for me to go. And the dog ran right into where my wheels were. Okay? I've got it on video. I've showed it over and over. But you know what? The emotional aspect of it, if it was a squirrel, like what Sidewalk Star just showed here, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. It's a fucking squirrel, right? But the squirrels are cute and fluffy, and everybody loves to see them around their yards. I've got squirrels in my yard. I love them. I think they're awesome. I think they're great. I'm glad that they're here. But if somebody runs over one, nobody gives a shit. But just because it's a freaking dog, oh, that changed. Now I'm a terrible person. See, if I would have hit a squirrel, it would have been like, fuck, man, squirrel. Oh, well, traction, you know? But when it went, just because instead of a squirrel, it happened to be a dog, and because of the emotional connection to an animal that's a dog as opposed to a squirrel, then everybody loses their rational thinking. Everyone should be glad that no human being got injured over this. And it was an emergency situation. But no, because it was a fluffy little dog, and it's a cute little dog as opposed to a squirrel or anything else, then the lives of the humans don't matter. You see, that's irrational. Absolutely irrational. OG GoFin says, hey, Bezzy, don't let anyone get you down. We love you. What happened with Bez? Oh, Bezzy says, you did just fine. Go. Thank you so much. Gonna K3W puts a goat with 1 and dog 0. Oh, that's hilarious. Beanzo says, agree, goat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's always trolls, man. Just people that don't know anything. They're just emotional. They are not, you know, they might even be, and no shame on autistic people, but they might even be like somewhat on the spectrum, you know. They might be on the spectrum. We have a good time though, don't we? Sidewalk Star says squirrels have feelings too. Yeah, I don't want to hit a squirrel. Like sometimes they run underneath the car or whatever, and you wonder, and you look in the rearview mirror and you're thinking, did he make it? And you never see it again. You're just like, where did it go? They love to dart out and then turn around like right underneath your car and go the other direction, because that's like their home base tree or whatever, like whatever tree they're comfortable with. And sometimes they cross the road, I think, to go look for food or acorns or whatever, the pine cones, whatever it is that they're looking for. And then you know, it's kind of like a trek into, you know, a scary area for them, like that's far away from their home tree. And then whenever they go to cross the road, all of a sudden you come along in your car, whatever, and then they make they're like halfway out there and they're like, which way do I go? You know, it's like you can see them trying to like figure it out in their heads, and then they'll run out and then they'll change. Ah, shit, never mind. I want to go home. And then they'll dart back to their side. And then when that happens, sometimes they get caught, you know, underneath the tires, you know, unfortunately. And, nobody gives a shit about that. Everybody loves squirrels, but if you hit one, nobody's going to be coming to your chat flaming you about it. but if it just, instead of a squirrel, if it happens to be a dog, then the whole world needs to stop, right? And maybe I should be, you know, burned at the stake for it, you know, because I didn't hit the brakes like my buddy Rob did, you know, because I opted to do the very right thing in my situation. Then, you know, people think they know better and smarter. It happened in a blink of an eye. I swerved, and the dog ran right. I had no more road to swerve over any further. If I had an extra lane, I could have went. Phew. I mean, that's how I ride all the time. I get out on the highways, and the highways have some turns in them and stuff, but there's no chicken strips on my tires. And the reason is because I'm doing this turning down the highway around all the cars, having fun. That's why I don't have flat spots on my tires, riding frickin' straight ass, for the most part, highways. Most of my riding straight highways. But the reason why I don't have flat spots on my tires and they're worn evenly all the way around is because I'm doing this. I'm swerving out there on the highways, going around the cars, having a good time. That's just the way I ride. And on a single lane out in the country, you go up a hill, all of a sudden there's a dog on the top of the hill, and then, oh shit, let me get out of the way. And then, whoop, he runs right in, and now I'm the worst guy in the world. You should have done this, you should have done that. But what? Who cares about the people behind you? You should have saved that dog, man. All of y'all should have died just to save the little fluffy dog. Bullshit. You're a child. If you think that, you're an absolute child. Okay, you're an emotional, driven, immature, childish thinker. That's all there is to it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know, in a group of human beings, there's always, a range of what you're going to get. So, anyway. Sidewalk Star says deer are the spookiest thing. They got a couple of tricks. One trick is to dash across the road, and at all cost, and then the other trick they do is to run alongside of the road, thinking your bike is a predator. Oh yeah, for sure. Mia Marine Coon says tree rats. We have solid black squirrels up here in East Texas. Very cool looking. Yeah, that sounds cool. All black squirrels. That's pretty wild. They're kind of like brownish here, with like lighter underbelly, almost like a silvery brownish color. Um, I love squirrels. Um, in certain areas, they'll you can get pretty close to them. That they will. They're used to being around people, and nobody ever chases them or attacks them and everything. They still run off to their tree, but they'll wait until like you're just a few feet from them, and then when you're just walking down a walkway or something, they'll get up on their tree, and then they'll go to the other side, and then they'll just kind of like look at you and as you pass, they'll kind of scoot to the opposite side of the trees to hide themselves from you. They're the cutest little creatures. I would never want to harm one. I never want to harm any animal. But if it's me or the animal, I'm going to take out the animal, and I'm not. I mean, I'm going to feel bad about it. But I'm not going to regret that I did it. Okay, like right now, the best way to describe how I feel is I feel bad about. I've killed an animal. I've killed a dog, and that might have been somebody's pet. And that bothers me. It does. It doesn't sit well with me because I hate that happened. But I don't regret the decision that I made because nobody got injured. No human beings, none of my friends that I was riding with. And it was my responsibility to do the best thing that I could possibly do in that situation. And that's what I did. Because when you see that situation, you have to think about everything that's involved around you and what are your options, and your options become very limited real quick. I have to take into account everything that's going on around me. Whenever that pops up, I have to look at what I'm facing in the road. I have to look at what's next to me. I have to think about what's behind me, and I have to think about where can I go to take evasive action, or what are my options here to deal with this. And all of that, and you saw how quickly it happened. Just like a snap of a finger, that's how quickly it took place. From the time it was seen, swerve, get over, impact, it was like that. And everybody wants to, not everybody, but some people want to like tell me I could have done something different or better. No, that was absolutely the best outcome. The best outcome in that situation, because nobody crashed. And that's the only metric to look at. Then after the fact, then when you can see that nobody crashed, then because it worked out. And now listen to me now, because this is vital to understanding how this is happening. If it didn't work out and everybody crashed, I would have gotten flamed for doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't have braked, man. You should have just ran right over it. But since you had to you panicked, man. You got scared shitless and you slammed on brakes, and that you were the cause of everybody crashing. That's what would have been said. The same people that were flaming me over hitting the dog would be the same people that say I'm a shitty driver or rider, and then I caused everybody to crash because I made the wrong decision. That's a fact. We all know it's true. That's exactly what people would say. And I would be blamed for everybody or somebody being injured or hurt. Okay? That's a fact. We all know it. And that's exactly what would have happened. And the other point that I want to make is, because that didn't happen, now the other thing can be focused in on, and the spotlight can be put on the other thing, saying, well, you should have braked and then you could have saved the dog. Because nobody was injured, that doesn't become a factor in their thinking, because nobody was injured because the right decision was made, you see. And so now those people are free to move on to the secondary issue, the lower priority issue. That's just the way it is, and that's exactly what's playing out here. But if I would have caused those people to crash because I panicked, look at me. I don't panic when I'm out there. I didn't panic in that situation, and I don't panic in any other situation. I'm a cool operator, okay? I don't lose my shit. I don't panic on anything. That's why I didn't slam on the brakes, because I didn't panic. Okay? Panicking is, a lot of times, that's what people do. And there's a term for it. It's called panic braking, right? Panic braking. What people quite often don't understand is one of the reasons why I'm able to do what I do, right? And not have problems. It's because I don't panic. I'm a cool operator. I'm cool as ice whenever I'm in whatever situation, even the most precarious of situations. I remain cool as ice, and that's what goes a long way to making it not turn into a problem, whatever it is. New riders, people that have less experience, often panic because they don't know what their options are, so the only thing they can think of is braking. See, that's not how I operate. That's not how I've survived all of this time. I don't survive by panic braking. Sometimes you have to brake. That's true. Sometimes it's best to just close the throttle. Sometimes it's best to close the throttle and then move and pick a different line, to find a way through. Like, for example, one time I was cruising. I was going to meet Scotty for lunch. And I was cruising down the highway, moving, and there was cars out there. And all of a sudden, I come over into the left lane, and there's cars in front of me, and I'm coming up hard on them, and they all panic brake in the middle of the frickin' left lane, right by the center dividing wall. So there's no way to go to the left, and I'm coming up hard right behind them in the left lane. And there's cars in all of the lanes, and they're all slowing down and panic braking into a stop in the middle of the highway. And I'm probably doing 120, right? And I'm going, holy shit, like, why are they stopping? But what most people would have done is panic braked to try to stop, but there wasn't room to stop. You know what I did? I braked, but I did not panic brake. I just applied brake, closed the throttle, applied brake, and then moved over and lane split in between the cars and used that as a runoff. That's what experience and And not panicking will do. Experience combined with cool-headed thinking allows you to have an escape route. The reason why they were stopping is because some fool was trying to cross the highway. A person walking was trying to like cross the highway in the middle of all these cars out there. And that's what caused it. But I didn't crash. But somebody else might have. Okay? And the reason why is because I don't panic. And in that situation with the dog, I didn't panic. Okay? I took the best action for that situation, and it worked out perfectly, except the dog lost its life. In terms of people being safe, it worked out perfectly. Linnell says, I love the sound guinea pigs make. They kind of make that like that little grunting kind of snorting sound, right? If I'm not mistaken. OG Goatfin says, you made the right decision for the situation, Goat. Thank you so much. You might be biased, though. You know, there might be a little bias. Your OG Goatfin. Yeah, your name might indicate some bias, but no, I'm just kidding with you. Of course, I appreciate the support. I really do. You know, should I should unban that guy. You know, it's like I don't ban people. You know, I'm gonna do that. So that'll be just like a timeout for him. He's welcome to come. Minza or whatever his name is. He's free to come back if he wants to. Let me. User man. Oh, here we go. Well, there's some people that are banned in here. Mr. Leader Bikes is banned. That's Teddy. How did he get banned? Well, I'm just unbanning everybody. There we go. There's probably about 8 people in there that are banned. I didn't ban anybody. It must have been y'all that did it. So anyway, there's nobody is banned on this channel. Okay? There isn't anybody that's banned. Everybody's free to post. Oh. I didn't even think we were going to talk about that. I thought I was going to just say something in the beginning, just like I was. The reason why I wasn't on live last night was so I could make that edit. I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but I just gave like a little explanation as to what happened. But a much more in-depth explanation took place tonight. So hopefully this is the last night. Seth says, Goat, he was effed. Well, we can ban him again if we want to. Seth. Lucas says, Goat should run over all the fire ants. Yeah. I don't know, man. I might get flamed for running over the fire ants. You should have braked, man. You should have swerved harder. You should have crashed to save the dog. That's what you should have done. You should crash to save the fire ants. Otigo Finn says, I may be a little biased. Yeah, but you're biased in the right way, for sure. Beanzo says, you were banned, Beanzo? How did that happen? Oh, an accidental ban? Oh no. So I'm glad that I looked. I didn't see your name jump out though. I didn't see your name jump out. When I looked at the list, I only glanced. I didn't even read all the names. I read a couple of names. And I saw Teddy's Mr. Leader Bike in there. I was like, how the hell did that get in there? Lucas says no one will miss the fire ants. Oh yeah, I know, they suck, man. Fire ants suck. Have you ever like found yourself in a fire ant pile by accident? I have. Now, I've seen people like have like really bad, like where they got attacked by fire ants, like pretty bad. Like I've heard stories where babies have accidentally like sat down in them and stuff, like little like toddlers, and then they get all the ants on them, and then they get all like those like little bites all over them. God, man, that's terrible. If you get like a single fire ant bite, it hurts. Just one. Now I've had multiple fire ants on me before, but and got bit by them all. It's not pleasant. No, nobody's gonna miss fire ants. Not at all. No. No. Mickey says, you should see the visor in my helmet. It's a crime scene every ride. Oh, because of the bugs. Yeah, there was a lot. Oh, Beanzo said it was a while ago. Okay, not this time. Okay, I got you. Bezzy said some people's fingers slipped on the banning. Oh, yeah, I need to check that every so often in case that happens. I haven't checked that ban list in I don't know how long. I don't even remember the last time I looked at it. Pitchfork says, always going to be haters. There's no winning with everyone. People should come first. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I shouldn't lose my temper with them, but it's just I don't suffer, like if somebody has a difference of opinion with me, that doesn't bother me at all. But whenever they start to claim like I didn't do the right thing when it came to like this dog incident, that's kind of a little bit of a touchy subject, I would say, because it is painful. And like I said, I'm not a victim. I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. I don't mean to sound like it when I say this, but it is painful that this happened to me, right? Like, what do you mean you goat? What about the dog? He died. Yes, of course the dog lost its life, but it's still, and that's awful. It's terrible, and that's why it's causing me pain because I know the dog died, but it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm cruising down the road. It runs out into the road right in front of me. What am I supposed to do? Cause the rest of my crew to potentially crash into the back of me to save the dog? Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And even if I would have had time to brake, I didn't know exactly how far they were behind me. Sometimes we're really close. Sometimes they're a little bit farther away. I don't have mirrors. And we had, listen, I did not explain this. We had just passed those other two bikers. We were in formation. We came up on the other two bikers. Rob passes, then because he's the leader, and I pass, and then I catch up to him, and then the rest, as long as there's no cars coming, the rest of the bikes pass. And then they're going to be moving quickly coming up to us. Look, what happens, and everybody knows this, everybody who's ridden in formation in a group of bikes, if the lead bikes take off, everybody else will follow because that's the pace that's being set, right? And I'm not talking about hitting one of the roads and then everybody darts off and some people are faster than others. That's not what this was. This was just formation cruising, and then whenever we're formation cruising, when the leaders set the pace. Rob is the leader. Okay, he's the leader of the group. I am a guest, basically, with them. Okay, so I don't even like. I didn't even want to be in the front. If y'all watch the video, you remember I said I don't want to hog the front. But the other people, I think, like me being in the front more than them being in the front. Okay, so you could see it in one of the other riders' eyes when I said, y'all go ahead. And he went like, okay, I guess. He didn't really want to be in front. He would rather follow me. They would rather follow me, but I'm not always a regular in that group. And I don't want to come in and just dominate it and be like, I'm always in the front. I'm faster than y'all. I'm riding a Ducati, and I'm in the front. And even though I'm not a regular in this group all the time, y'all are going to be behind me. right? So I don't want to be like that, right? So I want them, I want to show them, like, hey, please, I'm not trying to hog the front. Just go ahead. I'll just be one of the group. I'm just trying to blend in here. I'm not special, okay? That's where my mind is whenever I'm with that group. But they prefer me to be in the front. And so now I'm in the front. Not nobody's fault. So it just worked out that way. And then we're cruising in formation. We go around the other bikes. Rob kind of gave it some gas. And then by the time I'm catching up to him, boom, that's where the dog is. And I know that the rest of the group is zooming up because we had just sped up and then we slowed down, and I knew that they were going to be like whoosh, 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 right back into formation right behind us. But I don't have mirrors, and I'm feeling that they're right behind me. See, the morons that are second guessing don't even understand that this is what's taking place. They don't think about that. All they want to do is say, dog murderer, you suck as a rider because you murdered a dog. They don't even think about that shit. But see, I have to consider my fellow riders are potentially right on my ass because I just was zooming and now we're off the throttle at the top of the hill. They could be like coming out of light speed right behind me. That's what happens. Whenever the leaders speed up, then the rest of the group hauls ass to stay with the group, to keep the group together. Hello, everybody who's ever ridden should know this. But do the morons think about it? No, they don't, because they don't know that. All they want to do is blame me for doing the wrong thing. I was just the unfortunate one that managed to hit the dog. But I will tell you, and I mean this, out of all of the people that I was riding with, I'm glad it was me and not them. Because I wouldn't want anybody else to go through it. I wouldn't. It's painful. It hurts. It's not pleasant to know that this happened. You killed a dog. Even though it's not your fault, it was 100% an accident that could not be avoided. Because if it could have been avoided safely, for example, if there was nobody behind me, I might have chosen to brake. If it was just me and Rob was right next to me and there was nobody else behind, I might have chosen to brake. I don't know if I would have or not, but potentially I might have. But I'm not going to slam on my brakes whenever they're coming up to catch up to us after we just zoomed past those other bikes. Nobody wants to think about that. I even show it on video, and then I swerve out of the way, and it happens in half a second. Boom, boom, like that, and then boom. There was nothing that could be done except for to not brake and hopefully save the rest of the people that were with me. And as soon as I passed that dog, 1 second, and then the next bike was passing it. So they were right behind me. No matter what illusion the camera shows. The camera allows you to see, have a window into what was happening. But that view is distorted by the camera lenses and just by the nature of the camera. The cameras always make them look farther away than it is. Like, for example, when we watch the pursuit videos in the Arkansas State Police, and they got the cameras, they don't even have special cameras or anything. They're just cheap ass shit, right? Real grainy pictures. They're not nice in any way. But when we watch those little cameras that they have in their police cars, and you can't see what they're chasing all the time because the camera doesn't pick it up. But the policeman can see it still. That's why he's not always. Sometimes there is no visual and they keep going, but quite often you can't see it on the video, but the person who's driving the car can still see. they can see a lot better. That's how it is with the GoPro. What looks like really far away on the video is actually not that far away. And how many times, this isn't me just saying this for the first time. I say it all the time. I said things always look farther away than what they are. In all of these crash breakdowns I've done, just describing what's going on in videos and stuff like that. Hey, the camera always makes things look farther away than it actually is. And whenever you have a close call in a video, and sometimes it looks like, oh, well, it wasn't that close. You know, it felt like it was really close, but, you know, after watching the video, you can see it wasn't that close. No. It was that close. It's just the video doesn't translate that. It doesn't translate that because of the distorting nature of just the way the camera works. So, anyway, what a night, man. Just what a night. What a night. Beanzo says, go effing save the day for real. I think that's true, man. I really do. But I'm not saying that Goat Man saves the day. I'm not saying that by any means. I appreciate your sentiment. I think if I would have panic braked, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, is it true that if I panic braked, then everybody else might have stopped perfectly behind me, even though they were 1 second behind me, following at 70 miles per hour, 1 second behind? You know how bikes are? We're always somewhat close. We're not like following some stranger in another car. Like when we're driving our car and you're supposed to keep at least a 2 second following distance, and the faster you go, the more seconds there should be. If you're doing 70, maybe 3 seconds would be best, and 4 would be even better, right? It gives you more time to react. But when we're all together, we know each other, we get really close. And whenever I'm following Rob or the other guys that I'm riding with, sometimes I'm like right behind them. And that's why I'm getting a lot of rock chips on on the front of my bike, by the way. Every time I go out to the country, I get a whole bunch of frickin' chips out of the nose of my bike because I'm following very closely to them. Not unsafely, but when they're going and I'm just like right behind them, sometimes I pull back a little bit, but I'm really closer to them than what the video shows. We're just, when you're with your group, you stay somewhat close together. And when we're following in formation right there, the bike behind me passed that dog after I hit it exactly 1 second after I passed it at 70. So that's tight. That's really tight. If I would have slammed on the brakes, he would have run into the back of me. There's no doubt about it. I'm quite sure. And then the person behind him would have run into the back of him. And it would have been a chain reaction. It would have been a chain reaction pileup. I think that could have happened so easily. Panic braking is not the answer. Panic braking is not the answer. In any case, you should never panic brake. You should progressively brake. Progressively brake. And then, the other guy was sitting there saying, practice your emergency braking, Goat. Like I can't emergency brake. That wasn't the option that I chose. And the reason why I didn't choose that option was because there was a group of bikes coming up right behind me. I knew that they were going to be there, even though I did not have mirrors. I felt them behind me. I felt them. I knew. How can you feel it? Did you use the force? Yeah, kind of in a way. That's kind of in terms of how does it work? How does that work? I feel it. How does that work? It works because that's your natural instinct and intuition speaking to you. I can feel it. I'm telling you. And the reason is because that wasn't the first time that y'all were doing that. You see, that happens all the time. And and then whenever you're not even in the front of the group, like you're in the back, you're doing that behind somebody else. That's the norm. Whenever the group is moving, the group tends to stay together. And when the leaders speed up, then the people behind them speed up. And when the leaders slow down, the people behind them slow down. But you all stay really close. That's the norm. And so even if I don't see them with my eyes, I know that they're going to be there. And even if they weren't there, it's still my job to assume that they are. And say, for example, they weren't really there and I still didn't panic brake. I still made the right choice because they could have been there. And the morons don't even understand this level of thinking. They don't understand that. It's just the emotional state of you killed a dog, so therefore you suck and you're a bad person. That's all the further they go. You suck as a right. I just hope it never happens to them. I just hope it never happens to them. Mr. Mime, what's up, dude? Mr. Mime says, pitch. Every time we throw a leg over a beautiful machine, yes, we will forward to the right. We look forward to the right. But that's why CTG tells us to expect the unexpected. This is real life riding. No movies here. Yeah, that's true. That's the risk we take. That's right, Miss Pitchfork. I appreciate the support, Mr. Mime. I do. I do, man. So, I kind of lost my temper a little bit earlier. I do apologize for that. Um, it's just not right, to, well, it's not right for me to lose my temper, but it's also not right for people to, say bad things about me. People should not say bad things about me. They're free to do it, but they shouldn't because they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. So anyway, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? This live stream has been, not very pleasant, and I do apologize for that, but I'm not going to take it down. I don't regret anything I've said. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not an angel. And, I don't think anybody expects that of me, right? I already told you that the other day. I said I'm not an angel. I never claimed to be one, and I will defend myself if I have to. But it is what it is. Yeah, they were trolling busy, right? Yeah, and they got a reaction out of me. They did because I don't like the fact that this dog died. I really don't. And then to claim that it was my fault, it bothers me a little bit, I will admit. I think it would bother anybody not because I made the wrong decision. That's what they were saying. It bothers him because he knows in his heart he made the wrong decision. No, that's not true. All my riders were safe. It's the right decision. And that's the only thing I cared about. That's priority one, is keeping everybody safe. And I had them all right behind me. I didn't know exactly how close. It turns out they were very close. It turns out 1 second behind at 70 miles per hour. That's no reaction time, folks. There isn't I could not, look, nobody can react that fast. If I wasn't in the lead, say the guy behind me was in my spot and then I was the second person, right? If I would have been following behind in second place at 70 miles per hour, 1 second behind, and out of nowhere, he just locks up the brakes in a panic brake, I would run into the back of him. I would. And my reactions are like lightning fast. I would have hit him. 1 second at 70 miles per hour is like so close. And if he goes like this, if he just slams on the brakes, I would go right into the back of him. there wouldn't be any time to react, I would think. Okay, who knows? But if I was to say what would likely be what would happen in that situation, I don't think I could react that fast. I don't think anybody could. My job to not put the people behind me in a panic situation. I'm in front. It's my responsibility. I have the most experience out of anyone in that group. I'm quite sure of it. I'm not the oldest. Somebody's got me by 1 year, but I'm older than the rest of them. Okay, and I think I have the most experience out of the group. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that's true. That is a responsibility. My responsibility is to use that experience in an emergency situation to make sure that the rest of the group is okay. Why would that be hard to understand? It's just because people don't think clearly. That's why. Anybody who doesn't see that is just thinking emotionally and about the dog is what it is. That's going to happen. There is going to be an emotional connection to the dog, okay? Because humans love dogs, and I'm one of them. And that's a good thing to have a big heart for the dog. And some people will choose the dog over humans, and that's what they're doing, and I'm not going to do that. As much as I love dogs, and I would love that dog to still be alive, I still would not do anything different because everybody was okay. That means it turned out the best way it could. Unfortunate for the dog, but humans come first. Myself and the rest of my team. Period. I don't know how anybody else could see it differently, but any other questions? Okay, OG Goat fan says, good night, Goat Army. I am going to get out of here. We're at 2 hours and 18 minutes. Sorry for the stressed out live stream, folks. But we'll do another one tomorrow night, and hopefully I'll have something better to talk about. I think we're done on this subject, right? Like I said, I didn't even plan on talking about it tonight. It just kind of just happened. So I guess it's still on my mind a little bit. I mean, wouldn't it be easy to understand that? I don't like that the dog died, so it bothers me a little bit. I wish it didn't happen, but I don't second guess my decision. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much. And nobody's banned. So if you're out there and you think you're banned, you're not. Nobody's banned. There's not a single banned person on this channel. Okay. Y'all take care. Have a great night. Peace.